We start in the bustling Chinese city of Shanghai, scene of the region's first Formula One Grand Prix. The state-of-the-art $300 million circuit has been described as the most technically demanding track in the world. After the race, Scottish racing driver David Coulthard gave an insight into some aspects of the track. Designed by German engineer Hermann Tilke, who also penned the circuits in Bahrain and Sepang, the Shanghai track looks set to be a test of driver and car for years to come.
I had the opportunity to see the layout of the track, obviously on detailed maps before coming to the event, and also with the simulation facilities that we have at McLaren. But to actually see it in real life is pretty impressive. If you look at this grandstand and press office complex behind us, it's like nothing that we've ever raced at before in Formula One. The track is very technical. We'll look through a number of the corners here today, but we're standing just down at the entrance to turn 1, which is a very long, tightening switchback corner. So I think there's going to be a lot of action, a lot of incidents on this track. The physical aspects of this track, I think, are going to be very high. There's maybe 3 or 4 fast corners which are very long and undoubtedly are going to take a lot out of the driver. It's going to ask a lot of the car setup as well, because a long corner works the tyre very hard, and where you build up those long sort of constant temperatures, then that can lead to graining and associated problems. So I think the tyre battle here is going to be quite interesting.
Winner of 13 Grand Prix, Coulthard started the race from 9th on the grid, tangled with Ralf Schumacher on lap 37, stopped for a new wheel and finished a disappointing 9th.
We're at the end of what is turn 1, effectively into turn 2. And as you can see, we've come from all the way over there, right round to this point, when it drops downhill into this tight left-hander. So you can imagine at the start of the Grand Prix, there's going to be cars going everywhere trying to get track position. So not only is it a very difficult corner to do alone, but to try and do with 20 other cars, I think is going to be a little bit of carnage.
The Chinese race is held late in the year, which is good, according to Coulthard.
The thing that will play in our favour is that it's a little bit cooler now than they're used to here, so the cool temperatures makes it easier for the driver. There's going to be a lot of load as you come down the hill. There'll be a little bit of compression here at the bottom. You're going to be using the front tyre a lot, and as you can see, the corner tightens. So I think it's a real sort of key design feature of this track is the length of a lot of the corners that they have. So I think this is going to be a track that responds to having a good front end, and it'll be a battle to see who's got the best. There'll be a lot of gear changes in this lap. I think it's 5.2 kilometres. There's going to be quite a compromise with the downforce, which you need through this section, and needing the top speed on the main straight. We can see one thing here the drivers have had an input in. We've requested that at all tracks, on the other side of the curb, they have this AstroTurf. And the advantage of this is, if you remember many of the circuits, normally when you run wide, there's dust and all sorts of stones and everything brought onto the track. The advantage of this is you lose grip when you're on it, so there's no reason for you to want to use it. And if you do, you don't ruin it up for someone else who's following. This is actually quite an aggressive curve, but it's not one that we, the drivers, are particularly keen on, because you can see that if you find yourself in a position where your front wheel is there, then there's some suspension damage could be caused on that. But, the FIA would argue keep off the curb and you won't damage your car, but it's tricky sometimes.
Facilities for teams, sponsors and journalists have really come a long way in the last 10 or 20 years.
The time that it takes you to get to the pit limit is absolutely crucial, because if you're running 1 second behind another car on the track and you lose half a second in the pit lane, then quite obviously you're not going to pass them. You can see the beginning of the pit limit there, where it says pit in, is set to 60 kilometres an hour for during the Friday and Saturday morning practice sessions. You can see there's very impressive grandstand, media centre, some corporate hospitality at the top. It really does set new standards for other circuits to try and implement.